And everyone to this week's episode of Scotch and Smoke Rings. I am your friendly neighborhood Oxhorn here as always with my suspender set to maximum stun. We've got a great show for you today. We're going to be playing some No Man's Sky. I know that it's been quite controversial, No Man's Sky, since it came out, but I bought it. I'm enjoying it. We'll see how it goes, but we'll play it a little bit today, and you can tell me what you all think while I'm playing. So that's what we'll be doing today. O for 17 is in the chat today, and he says, how was your trip? It was tiring. It was good. I'm glad to be back, but it was also really good to fly to San Diego and see all of my coworkers, some of whom I had never seen before. So I'm really, really glad that I was able to do the trip. But it's also great to be back, especially when you have two tiny children. I miss them. It's funny when you become a parent, you just really start missing them. So, it's good to be back, but I'm glad I went. Gregoron Blackbane, says, you sound uncertain. Yes, you did pick up on a certain note of uncertainty in my voice as I talked about No Man's Sky. We'll see what happens when we get there later today. I have stared into the voice, says, hello, hello. Dev Vivar says first, and then says first again, which would technically be second. He's both first and second, ladies and gentlemen, but he failed on the second because he called it first. Garfunkel Fecal something says, okay, well, I just shouldn't read some of these. Xbox Friends says, I just subscribed. Well, I'm so glad that you just subscribed. Xbox Friends, it's a pleasure to have you on the program today. Recon Man Leet says, hey yo, good sir, pleasure to have you on the program. Fancy Fadger is in the house tonight and says, the Scholar of Scotch, the Cigar Connoisseur, the Crucible of Class, Titan of the Tauren, could it be? Yes, it's Oxhorn. Well, you do me a great honor. Imagine Justin says, here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the classiest man in the world. You know and love him. Give it up for Oxhorn. Cheers. Wait! Something's missing here, ladies and gentlemen. My glass is empty. Let us fill it with something. Something important. Something tasty, something imported, something scotchy. We've got some 10 years old Glencullen today. A nice mid-range scotch, but a very welcome beverage to imbibe after work today on this fine Thursday. DJ says, Oxhorn, hey, glad to see you back, but you should know that I lost a few hours of sleep because of you over the past week. You and Chloron are both to blame. Oh, that's so kind. DJ is talking about my novel, The Tale of Chloron Hastings. I link to it in every single video I publish. It's on Amazon and at chloronhastings.com, in case you didn't know. So there's that. Well, I hope you like the book. I had so much fun writing it, and if it were to take off someday, I would write many, many more. G-Man Mike says, you have no idea how much you have helped me with Fallout 4 and all of the technical aspects of settlements. Lol, thanks, man. Well, I'm so glad to help, and I'm so glad that my content is useful and helpful. If it weren't for the fact that you guys keep coming back to view more of my videos, I would have stopped long ago. So, thanks for watching, keep watching, and tell all your friends. Alright, I poured the scotch, but I failed on the most important part, which was drinking the scotch. Cheers and bottoms up. The hills are alive with the sound of music, with songs they have sung for 1,000 years. Alright. Time for cigar. Let us smoke this bad boy. I've got some more in the mail, but this is the last one. It is a Churchill-sized black wrapper onyx, handmade and hand-rolled in... should have said... I have no idea. Could it be Nicaragua? I'm thinking it's Nicaragua. Gentle Lady says, what cigar? Oh, she just asked about the cigar. This is the cigar that I'm smoking tonight. DJ says, it was a blast. I read it twice after hearing it mentioned here the other week. I'm very honored. I wrote that book in my youth. I was probably in my early 20s when I wrote that book. I'm now 35, to put that in perspective. But the world that I created for that novel is still very much alive in my cranium. And I would love, someday, to return to novel writing, because it is my first love and my primary passion. Sorry, I can't talk. My mouth is busy. Thoughts on Habanas, Oxhorn, asks Garfunkel Feces. Clever, clever. Habanas are alright. I bought this while I was on my flight. That's my ritual. Whenever I go on a business trip. Hey, thanks for subscribing, Imagine Justin. As always, good sir, I tip my cap to you. I buy a copy of Cigar Aficionado whenever I go on a business trip. It's my habit. It's my hobby. And so I have something to read instead of the travel magazines they have. And I took a look at the very back. At the very back of the magazine, they've got their top-rated cigars for that period of time. And I went and bought... as soon as I got home, I went and bought... not all of them, but I bought the cheapest top-rated cigars in batches of 5. And I'm getting to you answering your question in a roundabout way, but here they are. These are all of the top cigars that Cigar Aficionado reviewed. And you can see at the very top, they've got Cuba. But it's a pretty small paragraph. This is the Dominican Republic. It's pretty huge. This, I believe, is Honduras. It's about twice the size of Cuba. And then we've got Nicaragua. Nicaraguan cigars are pretty doggone awesome. And then way down there at the bottom, we've got USA. Yeah, USA cigars tend to not do well. But the point of that demonstration was Cuban cigars are not what they once were. Pre-Castro Cuban cigars are worth buku bucks on cigar markets because some cigars, especially well-made Cubans, actually age well, very much like a fine wine, and you can smoke a cigar that's 50, 60, dare I say 70 years old. Hey, Bancy Fadger just subscribed. Thank you, Bancy Fadger. A cheers to both you and Madge and Justin. Bottoms up. Anyway, if the cigar has been well kept for 60, 70 years, you can smoke it and it can be resplendent. But post-Castro Cuban cigars have lost the reputation that the pre-Castro cigars once had, and that's because the Castro brothers basically took all of the cigar factories in Cuba. They used to be private little families that each ran their own cigar factory, but the Castro brothers just took them all and said, nope, this is now a product of the Cuban state. And as you know, as with government, in any government, the quality went down. You don't go to the DMV because you're expecting amazing customer service, right? Just like you don't go to a government to produce an amazing cigar. So they still make some good cigars, but Nicaragua and the Dominican Republic, Honduras, and even the United States of America are starting to climb the charts. Old Ironbark says that's because most took their trade/seeds to the Dominican Republic when the embargo went into effect. And many of them did. I mean, if the government is going to take your land and take your factory and say, you're out of the business, we're going to make cigars instead of you, what are you to do? You go to the Dominican Republic. But the thing is, it's not just the seeds that make up a Cuban cigar. It's the soil. It's the combination of the seeds you use and the soil you plant them in addition to aging and watering and all of that, that produces the tobacco. And tobacco that is grown in the Honduras, the Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, and Cuba each have distinct flavors that I could never discern because I'm certainly not a connoisseur. But a true connoisseur could actually tell the difference between a leaf that was grown in Cuba and a leaf that was grown in Nicaragua. ACT Pizza 17 says, is We Game dead? What happened? Wow, that's a question from 2008. Good sir, yes, Wii Game has died. It died many years ago, actually. It was acquired by one of Jared's friends. Jared was the CEO of Wii Game, my boss at the time while I worked there. And one of his friends acquired the company in like 2010, I want to say. Something like that. Canadian YouTuber says, you inspired me to make a video a couple of weeks ago about the castle. I mentioned you in the description. Well, thank you very much. I am flattered. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a fun time making your castle video. Will you ever play Ark Survival Evolved? Says NCR Ranger Dread. Well, I haven't heard of that particular title. I'll have to look it up. Ark Survival Evolved? Does anyone in the chat want to tell me a little bit about it to tell me if it's worth getting? Because I haven't seen anything on it. Crazy Killer Sheep says, hey Oxford, love your videos, you legend. well, thank you, good sir. I do appreciate it. Marvin All says the video and audio are out of sync. Are you sure? Because I'm streaming live right now. That should not be happening. If that happens to anyone else watching the stream, please let me know so I can kind of fix things. NCR Ranger Dread says it's a pre-release. Look, if I have learned anything from playing No Man's Sky, it's that I am no longer going to be prepaying for games ever again. $60 is a lot of money for a game, and it's a lot of money for No Man's Sky. In fact, it's too much money for No Man's Sky. I admire the technology behind No Man's Sky immensely, but I'm not going to pay $60 for a technological demonstration. I want to pay $60 for a fully fleshed out game, and that it is not. It's still fun for a bit, and then it gets kind of repetitive. Now, I have high hopes for No Man's Sky, which is why I'm going to continue playing it and producing content. I hope that when they release base building, that I'm suddenly going to fall in love with this game, because that's what I think is really, really missing. Yes, you can go into these different universes and discover stuff, but it's one thing to discover something that you know has been procedurally generated, compared to discovering something that you know is unique in the world and that another mind has labored on. And that's what you get when other human beings are going to start building settlements in No Man's Sky, when they start building bases. Because then you can go from star system to star system, and then explore planets owned by other players, and then check out their bases. Right? Wouldn't that be cool? That would make the game infinitely more interesting to me. Autumn is obsessed with Ark. If you want some expert advice, ask her, says Greg Hardtime. Gulbreth says Autumn may be one of the few people I know more obsessed with it than myself. And I like it a lot, but Autumn loves it. Well, I'll have to check it out. Chad says there seems to be a delay from when something is commented and when you read it. Also, would you consider playing Subnautica? I have played Subnautica, and I have published Subnautica videos onto my stream in the past. We're talking over a year ago. I love Subnautica. But the reason that there's a delay between when you press enter and the text appears and when I read it is because I only have two eyes. And they don't work independently of each other. I am not Rodney Dangerfield. And I realize that joke is going to go over many of you. But I can only read one thing at a time is what I'm basically trying to say. So when the chat starts to climb through the chat log, I might miss it completely, or it might take me 30 seconds to a minute before I read it. So that's why there's a little bit of a delay on your end. Lots of consumption questions. Do you vape? Asks Gorilla Gamer. No. Do you smoke weed? Asks Crazy Killer Sheep. No, I do not. I smoke cigars and only cigars. Sometimes I will smoke a tobacco pipe, but 9 times out of 10 I smoke a cigar. Old Ironbark says creating civilizations on worlds is where the fun will be for sure. I just hope they focus on implementing systems over time to make the experience more robust. I do as well, but the reason this game is a tad disappointing to me is because, you know, it's not a pre-release title. It's supposed to be a done, finished game. We're not buying a beta version that's going to change over time, like Subnautica. Subnautica had many of the same issues that No Man's Sky had when I first started playing it. But I forgave it because I knew beforehand that I was buying a game that had not been officially released. Now, since then, it's added a whole bunch of new features, which is going to make it really exciting for me to revisit Subnautica in the future. But No Man's Sky is supposed to be a done game, even though we know that they're going to update things in the future. And that's why it was a little disappointing to me. Gentle Lady says, I hope you're having a nice night. Thank you, I hope you are too. I have a question for you. What are your thoughts on photography? I love photography. I wish I was a better photographer. I have some friends that are into photography and they're really good. I really enjoy in-game photography. I have a lot of fun setting up the screenshots for all of my Fallout 4 videos because I can tweak with things like field of view, and that's really it. All I ever tweak is field of view, but getting to the right angle to kind of capture the scene. I do enjoy photography, but I'm not good at it at all. Chad says, well, I hope your stream goes well. I just stopped by to show support. Much love. Thank you very much, Chad. Much love right back at you. You know what I'm distinctly lacking? Scotch in the mouth. Old Ironbark says, I completely agree with that. For $60, it's a vast open sea of space with not too much to do. It's pretty shallow at this point. I'm sad to say that I am of the same opinion as you. The Bancy Fadger says, in regards to that, Ox, do you have any opinions on the Steam Greenlight system? Yeah, they're not sophisticated opinions. But I actually worked for a gaming company a few years ago that was trying to get into the Steam Greenlight system, and I hear that it's very political. Less about whether or not you produce a good game and whether or not people even want to buy your game, but more about who you know. And I've always hated systems like that. Crazy Killer Sheep. Crazy Killer Sheep says, is it okay to make a Fallout 4 Oxhorn companion? Of course it is. You make a Fallout 4 Oxhorn companion and have fun. No romancing, please. Just no romancing the companion Oxhorn, please. That's just no. Not that. Shane Ward says, nice to meet you, Oxford. I'm new around here. Pleasure to have you on the program. Shane Ward, always great to meet new people. I hope you stick around. I recently posted a rant, says Ghoul Breath, about the game on my Facebook page. Essentially, I'm very disappointed with the release based on both gameplay choices and glitches. I hope to avoid such mistakes when I start making games. I agree. You know, the user interface, and here's what I think. I think that they were trying to make a console game and then refit it for the PC. Because it just doesn't make sense otherwise. Like, all of the different tweaks that you need to make a good PC game are buried. And the default settings when you play on PC are good for consoles and not for PC players. For example, that's why I produced my video on the default field of view, which is 75, which is just frustrating. And then the user interface is just clunky. In order to open up an options menu, you kind of hold a button for a little bit. It's almost as if they designed the interface for console gamers who have a controller in their hand instead of a PC gamer who's got a mouse in his hand. And additionally, there are no hotkeys. You can't map any of the actions to a hotkey, which is really annoying when you're in a space battle, because let's say your shield goes down and you simply want to consume more plutonium to recharge your shield. You actually have to exit out of the battle, get into your menu, find the plutonium, left click on it, wait for the little wheel to spin, make sure that it goes into the shield, recharge the shield, all the while you're being attacked by enemies. It's just a bad design, right? Just a bad design. And it's frustrating. NCR Ranger Dread says, how are you reading comments that aren't even here? That's because I'm actually streaming live from two different locations, on YouTube and on Twitch. So there are two different chats, the YouTube chat and the Twitch chat. I'm trying to read both simultaneously. I'm gonna pull a Rodney Dangerfield here and try and... It's not working so well. Gentle Lady says, sorry for the barrage of questions today, but I've got a couple more. Are you fond of General Sam's in-game photography? And B, what camera do you prefer? A lot of photography questions. Well, like I said, I sadly don't know much about photography. I am a casual admirer of photography, so I don't know what General Sam's is. I'm assuming he's an in-game photographer. And if that's the case, I'm going to have to look him up after the program because that interests me. I'd love to learn more about that. And what camera do you prefer? Again, I'm sorry, I can't answer that. I don't even own a camera. So I wish I knew more about the topic. Greg Hartung says, whereas for $60 you could also spend it on a game featuring gorillas with lightning guns, ninja robots, samurais, robot monks, and Mad Max characters. Well worth the money. Indeed, indeed. Goldbreath says, see, it started as a PC title, however Sony came in and went, hey, want some money? And they shifted it over to PS4. I mean, that's what it feels like. I hate to say it, but that's what it feels like. Garfunkel Feces, who is appearing on the stream, good questions, says, do you watch Evil Viking 13's settlement building videos, Oxhorn? And some of his videos came up. But did I just go dead? Did I lose my internet connection? Oh, for the love of Pete. Are we good? I'm back? Okay. Alright, that was weird. Alright, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I was answering a question. What was I saying? What was I answering? Oh, Evil Viking. But no, I don't watch any YouTube videos on Fallout. I like producing them. Here's my thinking on that. I think Evil Viking and YouTubers like him are extremely talented and deserve every single subscriber that they have. I also don't want their content to influence mine. I don't want to be seen as a copycat, and I don't want subconsciously my content to kind of drift into territory that's already been covered by very awesome YouTubers. So I kind of want everything I do to be really new, that nobody's ever seen before. And so I intentionally don't watch other content creators on YouTube, just so that I can make sure that if I'm producing something, it has my own voice, and that it kind of comes from me, not somebody else. So that's... Hey, thanks for following, Salmon... I said salmon. Salmon fillet? Salmon. Anyway, that's why. Recon Man says, well, Oxtron, I'm off to bed. Next stream you have, I'll be on for longer. But anyways, have a great night. Thank you very much, Recon Man. I can't wait to see you next week. Greg Hartung says, Sal, man? You live in Seattle, for crying out loud. Yes, I know how to pronounce salmon. It's just, I didn't know it was the word salmon. Sean Cassidy says, since when have you been streaming to YouTube, Ox? It's been about a month and a half. It's new. It really is new. I'm kind of still just testing the waters, but so far it seems to be going well. What's your least favorite video game, says Mr. Lasland. It's a hard one to answer because the worst video games are forgettable. So you just don't remember what it was that you disliked about it. I'm gonna have to pass on that one. Sorry. There are so many games coming to mind right now, but I can't call them the worst because I can remember them. So it's a question I can't answer. DJ says, I'm glad you have the separation. The difference between your settlements makes each of your content more interesting. Thank you. That's kind of what I was going for. I'm glad it's working out that way. Kyle Ragan says, you've got great Fallout 4 vids. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. What's your favorite Fallout 4 weapon, says Clinton Wise. It's got to be the Gauss rifle. I know everybody loves the Gauss rifle, but that's my favorite weapon. It's powerful. It has a decent weight. It's not too heavy. It's easy to use. Works well in VATS. It's my favorite weapon. Big Stacks 2 says, what about that Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch video editor? Was that a thing? You're kidding me. They did not release a Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch video editor game. That's crazy. Chief Smash says, hey Oxhorn, sorry to go off topic, but I have a smoke ship that is formatted for easier reading. Can I put it on the Facebook page for reading when the show ends? Sorry, I can only accept smoke ships in the chat. I can't go to 5 different places, Skype, Facebook, or any other place to get the smoke ships just because I've got too much going on my screen. So either to the Twitch chat or the YouTube chat. If it doesn't work in the Twitch chat, head on over to my YouTube channel and try the YouTube chat, and vice versa. They did so too. Look it up. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch video editor game. Oh man, that just cringe. The railroad rifle, says DJ, while a lot less powerful, can be a lot of fun. Yes, that's very true. I used the railroad rifle exclusively for probably the middle part of the game, like when I was like level 25 to 37 or something like that, until I got a Gauss rifle. The railroad rifle is a lot of fun. Surprisingly tough, too. I put railway rifles on many of my robots because I just like the sound they make. And then I'll be walking around the wasteland and just hear, choo choo, you know. I'm like, all right, there goes my railroad rifle. My Wazer rifle. Kirk or Picard, says Santiago Garcia Picard, with a huge amount of respect for Kirk. I love Kirk. There's just something about Picard. There are 4 lights. Picard, man. What's your favorite game, says Cal Ragin. Before Fallout, besides Fallout 4, I guess maybe Final Fantasy Tactics. And that's not my favorite game, but I spent way too much of my childhood playing Final Fantasy Tactics, mainly because of the music. Man, the music in that game. For years, I listened to the soundtrack to that game. Such good music. Moody. It's moody music. Imagine Justin says, I mostly use the junk cannon for a lot of fun. It's so heavy to carry, but it's worth it. Yeah, I can't get into weapons that are so heavy and they only have very limited use. Like, yes, it's fun seeing a plastic fork and a napkin destroy a super mutant, but, you know, after a bit it gets old. What I really like is the bowling ball launcher from Far Harbor. That's pretty cool. I never used a Fat Man because it's just too awkward to use a Fat Man. It only works in very certain situations. This is burning really slowly. Oh, well, I don't want to mess it up. This is my first time here live, says Random Dude. What's up, Ox? Pleasure to have you on the program. Not much. We're enjoying cigars and enjoying scotch. A good day is being had by all. Wow. Somebody wants to get a hold of me. The story behind the bowling ball launcher was pretty sweet, says Santiago Garcia. Yeah, it was. They had a crippled friend who they wanted to be able to play to go bowling, and so they made the bowling ball launcher for him. I thought that was pretty cool. Does anyone else there have a mom? That's a horrible question. Sorry. Didn't mean to ask that, because I'm sure some of you don't, and that's sad, and I'm sorry. But I only bring that up because this is a typical text that I get from my mom. I hate to say it, Oxhorn, but I clicked on one of those Facebook ads again, and now there's a weird virus on my computer. After your show, can you come over and fix my computer? Why? Yes, Mother, I will come and fix your computer after the show. I'm sorry, Pepper. Sorry. Sorry, Pepper. Sorry. Wolf asks, which settlement in Fallout 4 is your favorite to build in? I really enjoyed Hangman's Alley. It's a little small for me. I'm going to say Spectacle Island. With Spectacle Island, I could do whatever I wanted. It was so big, I could just do whatever I wanted. I had a lot of fun with Spectacle Island. I'd say that's my favorite. Tomorrow. She wants me to come over tomorrow. Okay. That generic pyro says that's just wow. How does that happen to some people? Look, you know, online advertisers keep on doing it because it works. It works, you know. And what's extremely lucrative is ransomware. And I'm sure you've had this before when you click on something and then you get a big message pop up on your screen and says, warning, there's a virus on your computer. To remove the virus, call 1-800 blah, blah, blah. I actually knew a person from the Ukraine who worked at one of those call centers. And she would answer the phones for people whom they installed the ransomware onto. And to her credit, after she took the guy's money, she would help him with whatever computer problem he needed. She wanted to make sure that customer service was there. But the only reason he called is because she installed ransomware on his machine. It's just... But people fall for that kind of thing. It's shocking, right? No one watching this show right now would ever fall for something like that. But there are people who do, and enough to make it a multi-million-dollar industry. AdBlock Plus fixes that. Yeah, I installed AdBlock on her machine, and I don't know how she does it. I have AdBlock installed on Chrome and Firefox and Internet Explorer, which I tell her not to use, but she uses anyway. And she still manages to download ads or download viruses. She says it has all of her search engines locked down. Oh man, this is going to be a nightmare. I don't want to do this after the show. Oh, that's right, I can do it tomorrow. Okay. Whew, I can do it tomorrow. Robin2258 says true ransomware locks the machine. Oxhorn. It's not a false ad with warning, Will Robinson. Yeah. Gentle Lady says, Ox, there's a thing called chloroform. Are you seriously making a murdering my mother joke on on Twitch right now. Come on, man. Oh, chloroform just puts him out, right? Doesn't kill him. Come on. Nuka Fishy says, hello, Oxhorn. First stream I'm sitting in on. I may be unable to smoke, as I have a lung condition, but I can drink Johnny Walker. Cheers to you, good sir. Let's click our glasses and drink libations, or pour out a libation. Coconut Man says, how do you feel that Nuka-World is Fallout 4's last DLC? Sad, but relieved, but mostly sad. Whenever there's a new DLC, that week is really hard for me, because I have to crank out as much content as I possibly can to beat all of the other content creators out there. I don't know if you noticed, but when Contraptions Workshop and Vault Tech Workshop came out, I produced 3 videos a day for an entire week. And considering I have a full-time job as well, that means that I had many, many late nights. But it ended up being worth it. Vault Tech Workshop was very good to me. I got a lot of new subscribers from all my Vault videos. On top of that, I had to produce a Vault 88. So Vault Tech Workshop was really tricky. Not only did I have to produce tutorial videos, but I had to make the world's best, most epic Vault all at the same time. And it was a very tiring couple of weeks. It took 2 weeks for me to make my Vault, but it ended up being okay. Anyway, when Nuka-World comes out, I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to be cranking out 3 videos a day for at least 1 week until I get as much done as I can, and then I'll sort of slow things up a little bit. Gentle Lady says, hey, Oxford, can we see those smoke rings? Of course! I'm not going to give false advertising. Here we go. Smoke rings. Thin, wispy ones, because this thing is actually... It's got a tough draw. You can see it's burning well. You see how it's got that cone? You can tell a cigar has been lit well because it's got that cone of burning ash. That's what you want to look for. And you see how it's got a pretty much straight burn line right there? It's a sign of a good cigar, but I don't know why it's just pulling so slow. It's too tightly packed. Seth Swartes says, what are your plans after Nuka-World? Hey, thanks for following, Jax Callop. Well, my plans are to continue to produce Fallout 4 videos and find something new to do. I was really hoping No Man's Sky would excite my imagination as much as Fallout 4 did. So far, that has not been the case. And the reason for that is because after Nuka-World, I am going to need something new. I mean, I'm not going to stop producing Fallout 4 videos. That's not going to happen. I'll still do settlement builds and mod reviews and so on and so forth, because people will be playing that game for a very long time. But new games will come out, and people will kind of want some newer content. And I need to keep up with the times. So that's actually one of the struggles that I'm dealing with right now, is what's going to be my next game. And I have to choose a game, or a couple of games, that I know are good for me and my channel. I like building things, I like lore, I like immersing myself in the whole world. I don't know what I can do. I hate games with bad dialogue. That's a pet peeve of mine. Like, I was watching some videos on... starts with an E. It's like a sci-fi game, starts with an E, I forget. I was watching some dialogue videos between the main character and other people, and the dialogue is so bad. That's one thing you have to hand it to Blizzard. I'm sorry, to Bethesda. Fallout 4's got great writing. It's got great writing. It's really well done. How about Skyrim? Asks Quick Commando. I mean, yeah, I could, but Skyrim's been out for years now, right? Could you do New Vegas videos, says Mr. Lasland. Again, the same issue. It's been out for many years. So I really want to capture a new audience. I want to capture people who are Googling new games and who are interested in new games. I don't want to just do past titles. If there's enough demand, then of course I'll do something like Skyrim or Fallout New Vegas. They're both great games. I love Fallout New Vegas. I played it to death. But I haven't even touched Skyrim yet, so who knows? Imagine Justin says, have we done recorded messages yet? I pulled them up earlier, and there weren't any there at the time. Yeah, still no recorded messages. The last recorded message I have is from Andy the DK a week ago. No recorded messages. Shivno says, will you make Raider settlement builds for Nuka-World? By the way, I love the content. Thanks, and I might. I'm not sure. I kind of need to figure out how it works story-wise before I decide whether or not I'm going to be doing Raider settlements. If they have new settlements, I'll definitely build them, but I don't like the idea of having to side with a Raider faction to get those settlements. I'm sure Bethesda will have a bunch of different options. Like, you could kill all the Raiders and get access to the settlements or something. I don't know. We'll see. The Fancy Badger says, Oxford, I forgot to mention, you're a vampire now. You never cured yourself. Ah, but remember, we reloaded a previous game save before I went into the cave. So I'm not a vampire. I just skipped over that. Hey, thanks for following, Lone Wanderer. Wolf says maybe if No Man's Sky gets a good building system, you could do some videos on that. It's confirmed that there will be base building, but it could be bad. Yeah, I talked about that earlier in the program. I am excited about base building in No Man's Sky, and I hope that it's good. I also want to revisit Subnautica. I really enjoyed Subnautica, but I played it back before I started doing videos, so maybe I should go back and start playing that. Stranded Deep is another game that I also really enjoyed for a short period of time. You know, all these survival games start to feel the same after a while. That's another thing about No Man's Sky that bummed me, is that it was another survival game. Mbargas101 says, hey Oxrun, what do you feel about the current trend of the Fallout 4 community? Or the Fallout community? I need a little bit more to go on. What do you mean? What kind of trend? What are you talking about? What's trending? Let's take the band off. I'm trying to soften this up because it's just so tough. I feel like there's a knot of leaf in there. Chivno says, I know there's no building in it, but what do you think of DayZ or H1Z1? I haven't played those games very much. But when I did play them, I wasn't terribly impressed by them. Scroll up, says the Mbargas. Okay. Trying to find your comment. It's just too many comments, my friend. Oh. Yeah, I can't find it. Ghoulbreath says, the thing with the survival genre is it has no king like others. For massive multiplayer online RPGs, it's WoW. For first-person shooters, it's a toss-up between Overwatch, Call of Duty, and Battlefield. But for genres like survival, there's no leader of the pack. So many of them just get pumped into the factories to try and catch that position. Quantity over quality. Well, there's The Forest, which is another survival game I played, and DayZ, that was mentioned earlier by Chivno. Those two are seen as some of the biggest survival games out there. But you're right. You know, ever since DayZ went viral on Steam, everyone and their mother has tried to make the next DayZ. Lone Wanderer says, "Hey Oxhorn, I got a question. Should I download the Airship Player Home mod?" Well, I did an entire review video on that, and I left all my comments in that video. It's a fun player home, as player homes go. It's a lot of fun. So if you're looking for a player home that you can move around, it's cool. The one thing I didn't like is the teddy bears everywhere. For some reason, the airship the airship... Hey, thanks, Vandymine! The airship has teddy bears all over the place, and you can't remove them, so I don't know. Keith Michael says Stranded Deep got my $15 in early access, and then they just stopped developing it. Yeah. That's what they do with these early access games. And you can kind of sympathize with them a little bit because people stop buying it. And once a game goes live on Steam and starts making money, you never make more money than you did on your launch day. That's the way it goes with the Steam title. So they made their money, and they could have invested that back into Stranded Deep to make it a better game, but they wouldn't have made a lot more money. So from a business perspective, it makes sense, but from a gamer's perspective, it is very disappointing. That Generic Pyro says, seems like We Happy Few got the short end of the stick, if I remember correctly. That's another one I was interested in. I don't think it's out yet. Does anyone know if it's out yet? I wanted to play that one. It's out, says everybody in the chat. All right, I'm going to have to check it out because it looked interesting. Has anyone played it? Do you guys like it? Ox, have you tried Don't Starve? Asks Jax Callop. Yes, I have. And I really enjoyed it. It was released July 26th, says Nuka Fishy. I thought that was just like the first little level, like it wasn't the full game. The full game has yet to be released, right? Oh, it's early access, still in alpha, but a fun game nevertheless. Ah. It's getting average to negative reviews. Man, so disappointing. 2 games that I highly anticipated this year. No Man's Sky and We Happy Few end up being bombs? Oh, that's just disappointing. Another question about Ark Survival Evolved from Wolf. Well, so many people are asking about it, I'm going to have to check it out. In fact, note to show Ark Survival Evolved. Oh, it's got dinosaurs. I hate games with dinosaurs. I should try it. Trevor Green says No Man's Sky is crap for PC. Well, we're going to be playing No Man's Sky here in about 8 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, because what we typically do here on Scotch and Smoke Rings is for the first hour, we smoke cigars, we drink scotch, and we talk back and forth about the day and the industry and having a good old time. And then around about 8 o'clock Pacific time, we switch on over to a video game. Usually it's Overwatch, but today it's going to be No Man's Sky. Mass Effect. That's the game I was thinking of. The Bancy Badger says, have you ever played any of the Mass Effect games, Ox? No, I haven't. But that's the game I was talking about earlier when I saw some videos online of characters interacting with each other and the dialogue was really horrible. Now, I realize I probably shouldn't judge an entire franchise based on one video that I saw on YouTube. But the dialogue was so bad. It was like the guy was trying to seduce some sort of blue alien lady. And it was... I shouldn't be laughing because I can't show it to you. But I remember it being so bad it was funny. The dialogue was just horrible. Arctic Wolf says, will you be playing We Happy Few? Now that I know it's out, yeah, I'll definitely check it out. What's wrong with dinosaurs, says Mr. EKB. They're all over the place. It's kind of like dragons. You see dragons in every fantasy game. Dinosaurs are like dragons, you know? After a while, you get tired of the dinosaurs and the dragons and the magic. What? Jason G says, what level and rank were you last season of Overwatch? Well, I only do quick plays, so level awesome. Cheers to level awesome. Shivano says Deathclaw equals dinosaur? No. I mean, yes, it lays eggs. But it's not even close to a dinosaur. It's got like... It's a monster. It's like Grendel. Deathclaws are Grendel. Gage Shively says, I'm the same way you are with dinosaurs I'm the same way you are with dinosaurs with zombies. Because they're great, but they get stale. Yeah, I feel the same way about zombies. There are a lot of zombie games out there, aren't there? That's actually what I really appreciate about Fallout. It has zombies, but they explain it in the lore in such a way so that you kind of get, oh, they're just overly irradiated humans. Okay. Still, the ghoul is not my favorite enemy in Fallout 4. Keith Michael says the Deathclaw is just a mutated gecko. I thought that's what those glub-lubs or those salamander-looking things were in Far Harbor. You know the things that hang from the trees and fall down? Those looked like salamanders to me, or geckos. Oh, looks like this is canon. Keith says the Deathclaw is a genetically modified horned gecko. That's interesting. Madman Max is not following. Thanks, Madman Max. Chief Smash says, it has been mentioned before, but Darkest Dungeon is a game you might want to check out. It's challenging, but it has great style. Note to self, Darkest Dungeon. Oh, interesting art on Darkest Dungeon. It's only $25. 9 out of 10 on Steam? Wow. Very positive reviews. All right. Maybe it's something I'll check out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, give me your smoke ships. Nuka Fishy says gulpers are salamanders. There are many types of salamanders in Maine. I would know. I live there. I even have a couple as pets. I see. So they are salamanders. Okay. And I guess there's a difference between salamanders and geckos. Right, of course. Amphibian, yeah. Okay. Smoke ship time. The Fancy Badger says, the traditional frigate, given a modern redesign by classy fans of the show, as a birthday gift to Oxhorn. The ship was fueled by microfusion cells mixed with a cigar smoke and an elf-ear reactor. The frame was made from the eldest trees in the Commonwealth. Below the deck, there was a tavern themed around the show, including seating adorned with elves skewered on spikes. A crew that specializes in only cooking bacon, and a collection of nearly any Scotch whiskey Ox could name. I like it! Chief Smash says Ox and Staghorn sailed on the sea on a ship called Barnaby. It was the fastest ship around, that even when they ran aground, the ship plowed straight through stone and earth. It was a vessel filled with mirth. Their pace was quite beyond compare. They sped past Neff in Blackwing Lair. Got you. And Anixia with all her whelps, they even sped past Michael Phelps. Then finally, their ship took flight and glided off into the night. Their mighty glassy ship of oak soared away on rings of smoke. We've got a poet in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Chief Smash, nicely done. Alright, we're going to have to go with Chief Smash, just because it's always great when we can get poetry on this program. So, for those who don't know, when I end the program, I immediately go into Overwatch or No Man's Sky, in this case, and I transfer the show to Twitch. So if you want to stay with me, be sure to go on to twitch.tv/Scotch and Smoke Rings so that you can watch me there. Alright, here we go. We're going to do Chief Smashes. Ah! Did you see it? It was in your face for only the briefest of moments. But it was all there. And let me read this poem to you again, just because it's original poetry on Scotch and Smoke Rings. Ox and Stag sailed the sea on a ship called the Barnaby. It was the fastest ship around, that even when they ran aground, the ship plowed straight through the stone and earth. It was a vessel filled with mirth. Their pace was quite beyond compare. They sped past Neff in Blackwing Lair. And Anixia with all her whelps, they even sped past Michael Phelps. Then finally their ship took flight and glided off into the night. Their mighty classy ship of oak soared away on rings of smoke. Nicely done. Brady Wolf says, what's the Twitch again? It's twitch.tv/Scotch and Smoke Rings, all one word. That's where you can find it. Or just go to Google and type in Scotch and Smoke Rings Twitch. Okay, I'm going to end the program here and we're going to transition to Twitch. I'll probably be down for 2 or 3 minutes while I get reorganized here, and then we'll be live. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to this week's episode of Scotch and Smoke Rings, episode 368. I really appreciate it. Be sure to tune in next week. Same Ox time, same Ox channel. And as always, we say here on Scotch and Smoke Rings, be sure every one of you that you stay classy.